What's up, everybody, and welcome back for another episode of the Fancast Live podcast. I got a special guest with me today. Jamie Hollywood Barrett is joining me to talk some Mets, Yankees, and Giants. If we get some time, we'll talk some Rangers as well. But right now, topics of the day. Jamie, Mark Colombo gets fired from the Giants. Robinson Cano getting a 162-game suspension for another PED violation. You've got DeAndre Baker. Charges being dropped, and he signs with the Chiefs.
Then one of the craziest stories of the year.
And then you got Theo Epstein. Theo Epstein pretty much just giving his notice. He's out by Friday. So these are the topics of today. Where do you want to start? Let's start with Mark Colombo with the New York Giants being fired. What'd you think of that? I mean, did you even know this guy was getting fired today?
Here's what I do know about Joe Judge. He's not afraid to make moves. This guy, we'll get into a second. The state of the Giants fan is different place where it's been in probably years. But Joe Judge is not afraid to trust his instinct and keep his guys and keep that culture. You saw him what he did with Andrew Thomas. He wasn't playing particularly well. They held him accountable. He's held Jason Garrett accountable. He started Matt Pert. He's moved a lot of pieces around. He's put guys on notice. Like, this is a team first, do your job type of football team. They're playing tougher. So, I think I trust Joe Judge at this point. I think he's earned my trust to have his staff. If Mark Colombo isn't on board with Joe Judge, I trust his decision like that. I mean, I don't know if, there was like some conversation or confrontation about, I guess control of the offensive line. I'm sure Colombo.
But that's the thing, exactly. Mark Colombo gets fired today, not because he's not doing a good job, because you and I both have seen the improvement in the offensive line. But it didn't come down to the performance of the offensive line. It actually came down to a rift that he had with with Mark Colombo, the current offensive line coach. From what I understand, Joe Judge brings in this guy, Dave DiGuglielmo, who back in January, from what I've read, was the guy that Joe Judge wanted leading the offensive line. Somehow, some way, didn't work out with him in January. They hire Mark Colombo to, bring him in. He works the line. I think he was with the Cowboys last year. Whatever the case is, Joe Judge's choice was this Dave DiGuglielmo guy, and he became available. He hired him to put on the staff. He didn't fire Mark Colombo, but Mark Colombo had a problem with Dave DiGuglielmo being hired by Joe Judge.
It's a lot to unpack. It's a lot.
Yeah, and there goes Mark Colombo. He gets fired because Joe Judge said it's either my way or no way. And you know what? This is how it's been with Joe Judge all year, and that's the great thing about Judge.
Big guys arguing in a room. I mean, these guys. This isn't like when me and you get into an argument. This is Joe Judge and Mark. These are big dudes, and they're going at it. I mean, I want to be a fly on the wall. The Giants are getting momentum. You look at Mark Colombo. He had a very good career in the NFL as an offensive lineman. He's trying to get paid. He's trying to get his future going. He's doing better with the Giants. What happened? I mean, how Joe Judge seems like a pretty mild-mannered, straight-up guy. Something had to go down. I don't know what was going on. I mean, Colombo had to have said something crazy, right? I mean, how?
What has Joe Judge been saying right from the get-go, from the moment that he stepped in at that press conference?
Yeah.
What did he say? He said, we're going to do this. We're going to do this my way. It's going to be by my rules, and it's team first, your teammates first, your team first, your coaches first, and any outside interference, it's not going to be tolerated. Yeah. And we saw that with Golden Tate when his wife posted on Twitter about, throw the ball to, Golden Tate.
A lot of wives do that. And you have a lot of these wives, look, and we love their input all the time, but it has not the first time a spouse has, caused a riff on social media.
But the problem I have with that is the fact that Golden Tate echoed her sentiments. And that was a huge problem for. I understand that, but you know what? It's your wife. She posted what she posted. You should have said, "Listen, honey, this is not something that you need to put on social media. This is my job. I want to keep my job. You want to keep your job, right?"
Yeah, it's this generation. It's remember Antonio Brown had a post-game speech from Mike Tomlin a few years back in the locker room. I think it was it was a playoff. It was a big game, and they won the game. But that is just players do that now. Everything's on social media. I mean, these NFL players, they air out their beefs, their grievances, and even in other sports, you got that too. It's just, I want to keep things on the field. I think Judge wants to do the same thing. Back to your point, that's why Joe Judge is brought in, to simplify the team structure. Okay, we don't need any of that. And guys are being held accountable, whether you're a rookie or whether you're someone like Golden Tate, who's had a pretty accomplished NFL career. So it's a good sign, and like we always say, I mean, it's good that we're winning.
And you're exactly right, because you know what? He held him accountable. He suspended him for that 1 week. He's back on the field. He even got – I was surprised that he even got in front of the cameras and apologized to not only Joe Judge, to the organization, to his teammates, to everybody.
Yeah.
And that it wouldn't happen again. And you know
that
what?
That doesn't happen with Sherman.
No.
Does not happen with Sherman.
No, exactly. And the point is, had this been OBJ where would this have gone if this was OBJ? I mean, I don't even want to speculate to where Joe Judge.
Posts. There would be a lot of posts.
Yeah.
There would be a lot of posting. Maybe, he would definitely be shirtless posting, looking into a pond and saying, God is good or something. That's what it looks like. But Judge seems to get these guys in line. I'm digging it. I really like it. So you had something on your mind, Giancarlo, before we talked about the Giants a little bit. And that was the news of the day. And this is your wheelhouse right here. Robinson Cano, 162 game suspension. In our lifetime as fans, we've gone from just everybody doing steroids, hitting home runs out of the ballpark. Now the sentence is a year out of the game. Here's a guy.
It's a second PED violation. It was 80. I think it was 80 games the first time.
You got to be very careful now as a baseball player, and you have to, know these things. That nothing's getting by these guys. I mean, you can have a poppy seed bagel. You're getting suspended for
exactly.
Games. Just what the career. I mean, starting out with the Yanks, it was a big part of those playoff runs, and he was a big part of that team. And it's kind of sad to see, but what are these guys doing? I understand it. I mean, you want to perform better. But $24 million.
The fact of the matter is the first time he was busted for this violation, he used the excuse that he used something that he shouldn't have used. The thing is he gets busted, and I believe he got busted for the same fucking thing.
Yeah. Well,
first of all, you get busted once, okay, fine. It's slapping a wrist. You get 80 games. You learned your lessons.
Doing this though, I think,
dude, who isn't doing it? The point is he got caught. That's the problem. And now it's going to cost him 162 games. It's going to cost him his paycheck,
salary,
his entire 2021 salary. But you know what? I don't give a shit. And you know why?
You got cap space.
Thank you, Robinson Cano. You just take a seat. You stay there. You watch, and the Mets are going to find better use of that $24 million for 2021.
A Mets fan with cap space is salivating right now.
With a new owner who's worth $14.5 billion, the richest owner in baseball.
So you guys got to do something with this.
Yeah, no shit. And we will. Trust me, we will. This opens up a lot of opportunities here. A possible Francisco Lindor trade.
Ooh.
I mean, his name has been out there not only for the Mets, for the Yankees as well.
$30 million? Is he going to get $30 million a year?
He could possibly get somewhere in that vicinity. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate, and I don't care because I won't be writing his paycheck. Mr. Uncle Stevie Cohen is going to be writing his paycheck. So I don't give a shit. It's not the Wilpons.
So when Cano comes back, that's back on the books, right? I mean, so
yes.
So would you sign a 1-year deal? Did you go all in on a 1-year deal? Do you
on who?
Try to move pieces around? I don't know.
Well,
you talked about LeMahieu. I mean, you're gonna get a bidding war with the Yankees.
Well, that's another option for the Mets. Now, hear me out. I know what. Hear me out on this one. Hear me out on this one, because LeMahieu now comes in play for the Mets here because Cano is gone. He's gone for the year. You sign LeMahieu first of all, I don't think it's going to happen because I think LeMahieu is looking for a 3, possibly 4-year deal. He didn't accept that offer from the Yankees, not because he didn't want to, it's because he feels that there's a market out there for him for 3 to 4 years. He's what, 30 years old now? Well,
I
no,
think
he's 32.
Yeah.
Okay, so a 3-year, 4-year deal. But the thing is for the Yankees to bring him back, I think they have to move a player, and that player's got to be Luke Voit. And
Or
and
and
wait, and the reason why I feel that way is because the Yankees want to move Gleyber Torres back to second base.
yeah,
You move Luke Voit, you get him out of the picture, you put LeMahieu at first base, and then you bring in a shortstop, Lindor.
yeah.
You know,
The
The
Yankees
Yankees
have the
have the
best
money,
chance to
but
get
the
Lindor.
problem with the Yankees is right now you have 2 players on your roster who are making $30+ million in Stanton and what's his face, Garrett Cole. So you have 2 players making more than $500 million. You've got another guy in waiting who's probably looking at a similar contract
Yeah,
in
Judge.
Judge. I mean, the Yankees are going to have to do something eventually. And Giancarlo Stanton, he picked up his he didn't opt out after 5 years.
I'll give this to Stan. He didn't do bad in the playoffs. Not enough to warrant the contract. He did a little. I'll give him that. It's a big contract, dude. Just a big contract. Here's how I look at it. We all know the Yankees have the best chance to get Lindor, but we probably would have to move. That would give the Mets, the resources maybe to get LeMahieu. Here's where I stand as a Yankee fan. We got Andujar and Urshela. We got to get something for Andujar. If we can move Luke Voit, I think that would be good. I mean, I don't know who takes Luke Voit right now. We need speed. We need batting average. And we say this every year, you need pitching. It's just a broken record. We need pitching. So
there will be a lot of takers for Luke Voit, man. This
it's
year in a shortened 60-game season, he led the league in home runs. I
yep.
think he was on pace to hit like 50-something, but maybe even 60 home runs.
Yeah.
Who would not want that bat in their lineup?
I think he definitely got the advantage of if you were hot during the shortened season, because baseball is streaky. I mean, he made the most of the season, so he's going to have options.
Absolutely, I don't disagree with you.
I'm not in a rush to bring back Luke Voit if I can move LeMahieu. Also, too, LeMahieu's like in his early 30s. He's been a very durable guy, but there's going to be a time where LeMahieu is going to be on the IR. You got to move Gleyber back to second. I was disappointed, obviously, as anyone else, with the shortstop errors. And Duhar is a hot bat. He's a young, good player. His fielding is not great, but I think that the Yankees are looking at all the analytics as saying that you got to keep Gio there just for defensive purposes. So
I'm sorry, but Andujar is not a good fit for the Yankees anymore. With Urshela, becoming the player that nobody thought he was because where was he? Toronto. He was with Toronto before then.
I think the Rockies maybe could have been.
Either way, whatever organization he came from, they gave up on him. They didn't see him to be the player that he became, and look where he is now. And Duhar is he's expendable. And now, what's the story with Gary Sanchez? Don't you think that it's a bit too late for the Yankees to move a Gary Sanchez? I mean, what kind of value are you going to get for this guy at this point?
Here's the gift and the curse of Brian Cashman. He has given a lot of players like Brett Gardner. He was slapping the ball around, couldn't make contact his first couple seasons, but he's loyal. Cashman loves his Yankees through the system and are going to give them the time. It's a gift and a curse. You give Gardner some time. He was a very great, productive Yankee for many years. And then you got guys like Judge, like you've given them a chance. He came on in his, mid-20s. Remember, he had that MVP season. He's a rookie. He's like 24, 25. He's not like a young, guy, relatively speaking. So Cashman does give his guys time to develop. So you got to give him credit where credit's due. But Sanchez has been so tough because he plays catcher. And he's just a guy. He doesn't have the build to take 162 games because that's not the build that he is. I think Gary Sanchez has to.
The problem is he's a terrible catcher. He makes no attempt.
He can only throw guys out. That's all he can do. He cannot He can't call like the best game. He's good with maybe one or two pitchers. But if it's not his guys that he's comfortable with, he's not a guy you can start every day. I mean, you're going to have to manufacture that offensive output other places. I think the Yankees can do it. They don't have to bring back Sanchez. A lot of money. You can't sign him long term to big. I think that ship has sailed. So I don't know how this really going to play out. It's interesting. You know, he can't catch, but he has talent. But
that's exactly my point. That's why I think it's a bit too late for the Yankees to move Gary Sanchez at this point. He doesn't catch. He's streaky hitter. I mean, granted, he hit 10 home runs this year. He was probably on pace to hit 30-something home runs. But the fact of the matter is he was hitting way below the Mendoza line.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, an occasional home run here and there isn't going to put you in a lineup every day. And I just think it's late. I think it's too late for Gary Sanchez. I think he's done. I don't know what kind of value the Yankees are going to get back for him, and what team exactly is going to be interested in such a talent. I mean, the Yankees are obviously going to sell that he's still talented.
There's going to be teams out there that need a bat that'll DH that, you know, might. I don't know if Gary Sanchez could. There's going to be a team that's going to take a flyer on him. I hope he gets his career turned around. I think he's a talented player. Yeah, but for the Yankees, there's no question. It's way too late now. But you got to give, you know, again, he gave him the opportunity. I think he gave him a fair shake. I think it's time to move on. The way to win right now in baseball is you got to have a complete team. You got to stop the other team from scoring. You got to pitch. And you got to have guys that can get on base. And you can't have a home run hitting team, can't get anybody on base, and then you miss a pitcher, you're done. So I think the Yankees have tried it one way, the Bryson DeChambeau at Augusta way, to just try to bomb the ball all the time. But you got to manufacture a run somewhere else. So we have some pieces we can move. We got some decisions we got to make. And, you know, my real concern, just to put a bow on it, is just, you know, Giancarlo Stanton, are we going to get the MVP Stanton back, or is it going to be injured? We don't know. So I think the future of the Yankees really depends on his production as an outfielder and the salary that he's making. So
we talk about the offense and we talk about the Yankees' needs and what they should or shouldn't do with this lineup. But what about their pitching staff? I mean, once again, listen, this is a World Series championship caliber team.
Yeah.
Year in and year out for the last, 10 years? And they still haven't fucking won a World Series. And the problem has been mostly starting pitching.
Yeah.
I mean, you could deny it all you want. I got fans. I got friends that are Yankee fans, and I say boo about their pitching staff, and they're all over me. Like, oh, you're a fucking Mets fan. What the fuck do you know? I think I know plenty. I think I can see. I don't have to watch every game to know that the Yankees pitching staff sucks, and they suck.
It sucks.
Garrett Cole was a great signing. No doubt about it. Anybody would have done that deal. But the fact of the matter is you have Severino on injured reserve, you know, Tommy John surgery. You have Paxton, who can't stay on the field. Tanaka was up and down. And then you had you had Montgomery, and you had another young pitcher. What was his name?
Well, you also had Happ you threw in there, too.
J.A. Happ. You have Paxton and Tanaka that are free agents. Do you bring them back?
I don't.
Neither one of them.
Well, if there's one, I would bring back Tanaka because there are stretches where Tanaka pitches where he has the ability to go longer in games than a Paxton. Like a Paxton's a guy that he doesn't overpower you with stuff, so he might give you 5-6 innings.
He's no longer a top of the rotation pitcher though. He's maybe a 4 or a 5.
What do we do with Severino? Here's a guy. Severino was a Cy Young candidate. He reminds me of a guy. There was a pitcher, Ubaldo Jimenez. You remember that guy?
Jimenez, yep.
Very big season. Lit up the league. That's what he reminds me of. You got to get Severino back because he is the X factor.
I think he will be back. And listen,
dynamic pitcher. Great stuff. He can't hit the strike zone sometimes, and that hurts you. So we have to get him back. to being a top line starter. And then from there, I'm a little bit easier on signing a Tanaka as long as the expectation is with the contract, he's at number 3. And if someone's offering number 1 money, you let him go. But you got to try to bring in some new players, some new pitchers.
I'm with you. I definitely bring back Tanaka to be maybe your 4, or 5. Yeah. James Paxton, I wouldn't touch. I mean, even a lot of Mets fans are like, "Oh, would you bring in James Paxton?" No, absolutely not. I mean, the guy's got a lot of upside. He's got a lot of talent. He just can't stay on the field. And if you're going to be on the IL half the season, that's not going to help your rotation.
No,
unless your rotation is really deep, which is something the Yankees wasn't really. I mean, besides you had Montgomery last year. Who's the other kid that pitched? The really young kid, Dominican, I think he was.
It wasn't Herman, was it?
No, not Herman. Navy Garcia.
Oh yeah.
Okay. He's got a pretty good arm. He's definitely going to be in your rotation next year. But the thing is you need more. And I mean, what's out there right now? Charlie Morton, Trevor Bauer, Jake Odorizzi.
I know the Mets want Trevor Bauer. I know that.
Well, he's high on a lot of teams' lists.
Yeah.
I mean, he obviously, has made some comments, made a YouTube video about Steve Cohen. I'm like, this guy is really sucking Cohen's dick here. Like, why is this guy? Maybe he wants to come to the Mets. I don't know. Because maybe he thinks, listen, the only thing I can say about Steve Cohen is that players have to think that this is a perfect time for them to be a free agent and want to sign with the New York Mets. Because, again, Steve Cohen is the richest owner in baseball right now. He's got a net worth of $14.56 billion.
Mm-hmm.
And he's making money. He's not losing money in this COVID-infested market that we are in. And he's going to be able to shell out that money because his hedge fund is making money.
Yeah.
For Trevor Bauer, it would be stupid not to consider the New York Mets. I mean, Tanaka would be stupid not to. Paxton would be stupid not to. I mean, all these free agent players would be stupid not to because Steve Cohen's got the money to shell out right now. But the thing is you have to be smart about the money that you're spending. You don't just want to come out in this market and just start signing players left and right like a lot of Mets fans want Steve Cohen to do. Oh, Steve Cohen's got all the money in the world. He's going to start.
You haven't had any cap space in forever. And now you got Cano out. So that now Mets fans are getting their hopes up. I just don't want you to be sad if they're not getting the guys you want. We have to just remember the Mets have not spent a lot of money. I'll believe it when I see it. I'm hoping for you. I'm praying for you that you can,
I think Steve Cohen's going to spend money, but he's going to spend money and he's not going to spend it blindly. He's not going to just throw money out there. I mean, Trevor Bauer obviously is the best talent you have in the free agent market right now as far as starting pitching is concerned. Any team besides the Mets would be stupid not to even make a phone call and say, hey, Trev, what if I signed you to a $30 million deal on a 1-year deal? Would you come play for me? Because I guarantee you that Trevor Bauer would consider it. Because he's made it publicly known that he would do a 1-year deal. Because he's not stupid. He knows that he knows the market we're in. I mean, we're in a COVID-infested market. There's a lot of uncertainty to whether or not there's going to be fans in the stands again next year. Who the fuck knows if the owners are going to make any money next year? So you have your Pittsburghs and you have your Miamis and you have all these low market teams who are not going to spend money. As you can, I don't know if you've been noticing, but a lot of teams have been non-tendering players because they just can't afford to pay a starting pitcher $18.9 million. I mean, it's crazy, but this is the market. This is the perfect time for Cohen to pick and choose who he wants.
There's no salary cap in baseball, so that's what makes it so interesting. Is that there is always going to be a handful of teams that have the coin. Handful of teams every year, they ain't going anywhere.
Yeah, but you still have that luxury tax. That luxury tax, I think, is set at 100. I forget what it was this year.
Oh, the luxury tax is
Yeah,
huge.
I think it's somewhere at around $197 million. Once you get over that, you have to pay a luxury tax, which is
Cohen can handle that.
yeah, of course he can. But the thing is do you want to?
Do you want to?
Because the fact is, the Yankees and the Red Sox have been renowned for paying the luxury tax for who knows how many years. And the problem with the luxury tax is the money is shared to all the low market teams, all the small market teams like your Pittsburgh Pirates and
Kansas
your
City.
Kansas Cities. Exactly. Now, what are these teams doing with that money? It's going right in their pockets. It's not being spent towards the team. And that's what pisses off teams like the Yankees and the Red Sox, who on a consistent basis pay a luxury tax.
I'm surprised that there hasn't been clauses in the players' agreement. How has it not been brought up? How are the owners not accountable for taking revenue that the players get them because they're putting the fans in the stands or used to? And how are they not? I mean, here's the thing, right? If you're a capitalist, it's your business, and you're really entitled to do what the hell you want to do with that business. But I'm surprised at the collective bargaining level that these players have not. Why would you want to play for a team that doesn't spend the money that you have, especially if it's from a luxury tax? There's got to be some sort of connection to that. I'm surprised it hasn't been brought up. Maybe they'll put me as the head of the Players Association. Who knows? Maybe that'll happen. I don't know.
There's a lot of loopholes in the system, that's for sure. Yeah. Because that money, that luxury tax money that's distributed to the small market teams is actually supposed to be used towards, baseball operations, whether it's signing a player, creating a analytics department, or
that's very expensive.
International, investing in international players. Whatever. There's a lot of things they can use that money. It doesn't necessarily have to be used in signing a player for your current roster. It can be used towards so many things. But the thing is, these owners are putting the money in their pocket and they're saying, "Screw with it. We'll just stay at $75 million. Thank you very much."
That's pretty good. I mean, how about Tampa? But they still play at this fucking field with the cat. If I have to see another pop fly catwalk. That's why. So here's this. Like I'm a Yankees fan for a long, long time, but there's things that bother me about baseball. I think the season's too long. Everybody gets hurt. You can never go a full season without a full roster. There's so many games, and that's why all these players are doing steroids. Because I'm 34 years old tomorrow. It's my birthday tomorrow, by the way.
Happy birthday!
Yeah, thank you. But it's like I gotta stretch 15 minutes before I get in the car, take my son to practice. It's stuff hurts. You go to the gym, you're not feeling great. You think you have aches and pains, and I can't imagine the toll that you're taking. Sitting in a dugout, running around, playing baseball, but it's constant. You're always putting pressure on your joints, so they got to be on the juice. I feel like for the game, for it to be more interesting long term, why have so many games like that? Why have 162? Isn't 120 enough? I mean, but then you're losing revenue.
To be quite honest with you, I don't have any problems with the season being 162 games. I really don't. I enjoy a long season like that. And
I lost interest. And I respect you because you are a Mets fans are different than Yankee fans, right? Yankee fans, we're like entitled. Ever since I grow up, we've been competitive since '96. And
you're a spoiled brat. Just admit it. You're a spoiled brat.
I am spoiled. And and now I go into Yankee Stadium and it's like, it's a good time. We love our Yankees, but the regular season has not been as compelling for me. And the Mets, the reason why I respect the Mets fans so much is because they know every year they just believe no matter what. I see your posts. I see your posts in March. Hot stove. Here we go. Mets undefeated. It's April. We're 6-2.
That's the problem.
First place NL East. You're 6-2. I'm like, someone's gonna get hurt. And sure as we're standing here, someone gets hurt.
When was it? 2018. 2018. First year Mickey Callaway is the manager of the New York Mets. Mets get off to an 11-1 start. What's that?
I can't even keep track of your managers right now. All right.
So Mickey Callaway starts the season in 2018 as a Mets manager. Never managed a goddamn team in his goddamn life.
Mm.
He starts his team starts at 11-1. I'm like, yo, we're winning the World Series this year. There's nothing that Mickey Callaway can't touch that doesn't turn to gold. And then, dude, after that start, it's just like they caved in. They did a 180. They sucked. They couldn't play defense. They couldn't hit for shit. And I had to go hide under my bed. I was embarrassed
Yeah.
to even be seen on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, even talking about the Mets.
But you guys believe, and that's the respect, because you could go into a season and it could be totally a wash and nothing's gonna happen, but you guys always have that belief and you guys show
See,
up.
that's why you're a spoiled brat, because
I am.
you know the Yankees are going to be in first place come September. So
It doesn't matter how we get there. At the beginning of the season, we're conditioned as Yankee fans to expect we can start the year 20-17 or 17-21, and we're gonna be fine.
Yeah,
And
every year.
Every year we get there and it's fine. But then where I really get mad is the second half. How we don't close out the deal, how we're not finishing. But in baseball, to me, it's you have the power hitting teams and you got the teams that don't hit for power. I like the long ball. I like the excitement. I think the games that we got to get them a little short. The amount of stops at the mound, I think that's really cool. Because, you get a guy, Aaron Boone, changing pitchers every 15 minutes in a July game against a Royals doubleheader. I don't need to see that. I need to see, action. I need to see my team go out there. Sometimes you go on hot streaks. Sometimes we lose a lot of games. But I'm telling you, in July, it's 95 degrees. There's back sweat. It's like 1-0 in the sixth inning, and I'm like, my son is asleep. I need more. I need more from baseball. I need more from it. I know you're a big baseball guy.
I'm a big baseball guy, and I enjoy the Mets, and I'll watch the Yankees. But ask me the last time I went to a game. I couldn't even tell you.
I think the Yankees have spoiled my liking of baseball. I think it has, because I've always been accustomed to them being good, and then you kind of lose it. Like, all right, we're always going to be kind of good. We got the best players.
It gets boring after a while, doesn't it?
There's no intrigue.
Exactly.
We always have. Was it ever a question we were getting Garrett Cole? Come on, we know we were getting Garrett Cole as soon as Garrett Cole walked into the locker room.
That's why I have no doubt in my mind that DJ LeMahieu is going to sign with the Yankees. I guarantee you Trevor Bauer will sign with the Yankees, and I guarantee you that they'll trade for Lindor. I mean,
and we're still going to lose to the Rays.
Exactly. Let's not go there right now. But listen, if you sign Trevor Bauer and you sign, say, a Charlie Morton or a Jake Odorizzi, or maybe bring back a Masahiro Tanaka, with the fact that you've got Severino coming back, now we're talking about a solid rotation right there. Now, the Yankees have one good thing going for them. They have pretty good depth in Montgomery and Navy Garcia, I think his name is.
Yeah,
they've got a lot of arms in the farm system or prospects that are ready to pitch at the major league level.
That's a good thing.
And that's the one thing the Yankees have got for them, and that's why they can go out and sign the likes of a Trevor Bauer, a Charlie Morton, a Jake Odorizzi, or whoever.
I'll tell you what, Charlie Morton has had some impressive postseason outings. I'll give you that.
18 and 19 were very good. 20, he didn't do very well, but in a shortened 60-game season, his ERA I think was above 4. I think it was 4.7. It wasn't his best season, but he still pitches very well. He pitched good in the postseason, except for the one start that he had in the World Series. He didn't pitch very well then, but he was. I thought he was pretty good in the postseason. Other than that one game, he was good. I would sign him probably way before James Paxton, and I think I would sign him before I would sign Masahiro Tanaka.
But the Yankees know we're probably going to get him, and we've gotten everybody. We had Jason Giambi. We got A-Rod. We got Stan. We always are, and I blame. That's why I blame maybe my not as much interest in baseball as a sport because you're just so damn accustomed to just getting things your way. And you got to suffer through a regular season that kind of doesn't have much about it. And then, okay, September, let's get serious. I'm going to start watching the games. Who's this guy? You know, I think through the grind of the 162 games for the Yankee fan has been not as easy to do as the Mets fan because there's so much more intrigue for the Mets. You guys can go on a 15-game winning streak. You guys are wearing all your gear. You guys are never shutting up about it. And then in a month goes by, the Braves pass you. You don't know what's happening. You guys are always in the mix. There's always that intrigue, kind of like being a Rangers fan or another fan. The Yankees don't have that struggle. And we have a generation of Yankee fans that expect to just get to the postseason. And now we're going to invest our time emotionally. But we haven't, I mean, I've never been worried about a regular season or looking forward to a season as I used to when I was younger because there was more of that, man, what are we going to do this year? Like, are the Red Sox going to catch us? Are we going to, you know, get the pitcher we need? When we got CC and, you know, we got A-Rod, those are fun days because A-Rod was a game changer. I mean, because the Yankees did things. They had a high payroll, but they would get guys like David Justice at the end of their career. We had like homegrown guys for the most part. And you would sign guys, you know, here and there. But we didn't really – once we signed A-Rod, I think that was when it's like, okay, you know, now we're bringing in the best of the best talent. And since then, you're really expecting.
The Yankees are just missing that chemistry that they had with their teams from the late 90s and early 2000s.
It's like the 2017 team. We did lose. I loved our chemistry then with Didi and some of those other guys. I really liked the chemistry there. You could argue, was it cheated or was it not, you know, with the banging on the garbage cans and what have you. Whatever. We didn't get it done. We overachieved that year. That was the best season in the past probably 5-10 years because that season – we were young. We were kind of rebuilding. And, you know, we had some young guys that were promised. And that was interesting. I think that – so I'll give that 2017 team. That was the most fun for a Yankee fan that I've had in a while. Since then, we've been expecting to get there. We need to get to the next level. We have not gotten to the World Series. Until that moment happens, a lot of Yankee fans like myself you don't have that same affinity for baseball, if that makes any sense.
How much of the blame do you put on Brian Cashman for that? Do you put any of the blame on Brian Cashman? Listen, because he's gotten it wrong. He's gotten his pitching rotation wrong for the last at least 10 years.
Pitchers got to execute.
And there's no reason for it.
They got to execute. There were Chapman, all these guys have their moments. Every pitcher we've gotten has had their good moments and they've had their bad moments. We haven't pulled through. We can always beat Minnesota Twins. We could always get to that, you know, next level. Cashman, I mean,
there's two home runs that Chapman is never going to forget.
Never.
He's never going to forget those two home runs.
Well, you can hate the guy all you want. He's a hell of a player, but that was a tough one.
He'll never forget those. Those are two huge home runs.
Huge. But Cashman's one of the most successful GMs in the history of New York sports. Maybe ever. I mean, he went through so many different ways to build a team. And now when the changing of Steinbrenner's, you know, the passing, and now we have the younger generation, it's a bit of a different tone. Cashman has more of the authority, I think. But, man, it's a different game now. And I think, does it hurt to get another opinion? I mean, do you get a guy that's more analytics? I mean, isn't everybody I mean, you don't want to do a change just for a change. But Cashman would be picked up in a second. He's had an incredible career.
He's lost a lot of his flexibility, though, with his team salary here, though. I mean, you have to agree. You have Stanton making over $300 million. You've got now Garrett Cole making over $300 million, and you're locking up a lot of money on just two players. And like I said, you still have to sign Judge. You still got to sign possibly Gleyber Torres and
Yeah.
Urshela and possibly Luke Voigt and Gary Sanchez if he sticks around. You still got a lot of players you got to sign
Yeah,
here.
there's a lot of decisions. I'm not going to turn my back on Cashman because at the end of the day, you
You
say
have
what
to
you
put
want.
you have to put some of the blame on Cashman though,
Of course you can. Of course.
because when I forget what year it was when they traded for Stanton, I'm thinking to myself, why would the Yankees want Giancarlo Stanton?
It was a
Of
tough.
of
We
of all
both said this.
people,
Yeah.
Yelich was the guy they should have gotten.
He's a tremendously talented player.
Am I right? Or am I wrong?
He
I had said it then, and I keep saying it today. The guy they should have gotten was Yelich and not Stanton.
That's a very good observation and more of an all-around player. Stanton was off an MVP though, Giancarlo. I mean, this is a guy that he could do no wrong. See, here's another thing you got to look at, right? I mean, the big body baseball players do not last in this league, okay? Because you're constantly putting pressure on your ankles and your knees and everything. It's harder. Guys like that Altuve never get hurt. They play every game. They're fine. They're never on an injury report. You get smaller guys, and when you get guys that big at this level, it's just so risky. It's so risky.
Compare the players from today to the players from the 1940s, 50s, 60s, even the 70s.
Not even the same human being.
No, they didn't do steroids. They didn't work out 7 days a week in the gym.
No.
They didn't do it. You had pitchers who were going every 3-4 days. You had pitchers who were pitching over 200 innings pitched every season.
Amazing.
I mean, you don't get that today. Everybody, you've got pitchers making $300 million in Garrett Cole, but yet you pull him out of a game in the sixth inning because he's thrown 80% pitches. Are you fucking kidding me?
It's just changed. It's changed. It's the intensity of the way that they pitch, the way they call games is probably different. The hitters are better, and then they have and then you have to compensate for that. And I don't know. I don't know enough about baseball to get into to go down that road, but the game has changed a lot.
Yeah, no shit. Analytics, launch angle, exit velocity. Like what?
That's
What
another
is
thing.
what is this crap? I don't want to hear this crap.
It's
I'm tired of watching games on ESPN and all they talk about is launch angle and exit velocity. Like who fucking cares?
Yeah, I that's one of the reasons why I think baseball, in my opinion, I've not been in love with baseball like I was in the past, because there's a lot to process here. I want to watch the game. I want to know who the big players are, pitching, hitting, score more runs, play defense, let's get it going. But when you go in the weeds like that, I mean, your batting average in the sixth inning and the wind against left-handed hitters, with a crew cut is not a statistic that I'm really interested in knowing about. I feel like it can be complicated. It can really be complicated. The managers complicate things. I mean, I've seen a pitcher walk somebody and then he's out. I mean that's possible if it's a lefty, righty, but there's also, like if a pitcher has gone in the lineup like 3 times, you're pulling him automatically, even if he had a really good finish to the inning. So there's instincts, and then there's the analytics, and that's another part of baseball that's just gotten into it. So
there was a statement made by Theo Epstein today. I'm trying to look for it right now, but I thought it was pretty interesting. And he spoke about how baseball has evolved and the direction that baseball has gone. And he used this as one of the reasons why he decided to walk away at this juncture in his career.
been very successful.
And he thinks that analytics has a lot to do with it. Launch angle and exit velocity, and the fact that a lot of these hitters who hit home runs hit for low averages these days. He thinks that baseball needs to do better. He thinks that baseball needs to incorporate more offense in the game. I mean, basically, all it's been really about lately is pitching, 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 and home runs, home runs, home runs, home runs, and the hitters are suffering because now you're seeing guys who are going to hit 35, 40, 50 home runs, and they're hitting 210, 215, 220. Like, who wants to see that? I want to look at the stat sheet on Monday morning after our Sunday night game and look to see that, Pete Alonso is hitting at the, in the top 10 in the league, not in the bottom 200. Like, I don't want to see Pete Alonso's average at 210 or 220 or 230 like it was this year. I don't want to see that. Nobody wants to see that. You want to see guys hitting, at least league minimum, a league average of like 275, 280, 290, 300. But the fact is that players, they want to hit the home run, but they don't care about hitting 210. That doesn't bother them. Yeah. I mean, 10, 20, 30 years ago, it bothered players if they hit anywhere near the Mendoza line.
Chris Davis. I mean, this guy, that team made a career out of it. I mean, he's a guy, look, he's going to strike out a million times a year, but he's going to hit home runs. And home runs do add up on the score sheet. It's like when you hit them. The bottom line is you look at the World Series this year, you got complete teams. You got teams that you guys like Justin Turner. You got guys that can play defense, hit home runs, but hit for average, 2 strikes. That's really how these teams are getting it done. And the Yankees have not been able to do that. I guess neither have the Mets, but there's a lot of things you can't teach. You got to have instinct in baseball, and you got to kind of use your eyes and not always, look at the books. But that's where you guys are at.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think baseball has changed. It's totally not the same game anymore. Like we just spoke about, I mean, pitchers are going 5 innings, 6 innings max. You don't see any pitchers going complete games. You see,
You see no hitters stopped at 8 innings. 109 pitches. Guy gets pulled. How about the no-hitter against the Yankees? I think the Astros, they had 6 pitchers.
What about the World Series? I mean, they pulled, what's-his-face, Snell in the 16th. I think he pitched, 5 1/3 innings, and analytics said pull him because they didn't want him facing the lineup a third time around.
Yeah.
Like, really? Like, you could just go with your gut instinct for once and say, you know what, he's having a really good game. Maybe I ought to leave him in there because maybe...
The consequences of not getting it right on the analytics is really bad, though. Because the numbers are there, and I think people are so reliant on the numbers. You listen, you got to make a call. The guy gives you the numbers. These are the numbers.
All right, you tell me something. All right, and you be honest with me right now. Who's managing a freaking baseball team these days? Is it the manager or is it the analytics?
I think it's leaning more towards analytics.
Thank you. So why do we have Manager of the Year awards? Why even give them out?
I think it's more. Here's where I think it's more of managing personalities and being more of a life coach and putting people in a sane, safe space, if you will. Being a support animal, if you will. You got it. These players, they get into ruts, and it's hard. Dude, when Stanton's on a bad run, how do you talk to this guy?
All I know is the managers, all they do today is, you know what? Analytics says you got to sit today, so you're going to sit today, okay? That's a manager today. Because it's quite evident that, managers are not managing anymore. They're playing by the book, whatever the freak the book says. If analytics says we should take this guy out for a pinch hitter, we're going to take this guy out for a pinch hitter. And if we don't want this guy going, against this lineup a third time, we're going to pull him, regardless of how many pitches he's thrown. And Snell was I mean, the dude hadn't even thrown 80 pitches in a game. And you pull him out of the game, Tampa Bay loses, it's over. And nobody wants to second guess it because baseball says the game is called upon what the analytics say, and everybody and these managers are afraid to say that. They are afraid to come out and say that.
Yeah, they're definitely afraid, and the repercussions of not using the data, I think, is also another thing that they worry about because the GM's going to be like, well, what's going on with these decisions? So there's a way to track bad decisions with the analytics, but there's no credit for good gut decisions really. And it's a tougher position to be in. You know what? They still make a lot of money, so I'm not really feeling too bad for them, to be honest with you. I'm sure Epstein's gonna get his shot. He'll probably ride out this COVID, go to his mansion, hang out with the kids, and then he's gonna figure it out. But he might be onto something. I don't know, but it's a different game. Totally got that.
Let's move on.
Yeah, man.
I think we covered enough baseball for one day. What do you think?
Listen, you never know. I had to. I know you had the baseball itch. I had to tickle that for a little while.
Listen, all I know is the Mets got a new owner, and I'm very happy about that.
You should be.
I'm happy of the fact that he's the richest owner in baseball. I'm happy that we may soon see, some, spending on some players. We don't know if we will or not. There are 29 other teams in the league that can sign these players. So I'm not saying the Mets are just going to throw their money out there and get the players that they want, because that's not going to be the case. But the fact is that the Wilpons are gone. You know what? I mean, the beginning of the end for the Wilpons was Bernie Madoff and the Ponzi scheme. That was $300 million. We'll do this real quick, and then we'll move on to the Giants. $300 million is what that scheme was generating for the Wilpons, which was $300 million that they weren't spending out of their own pockets for the day-to-day operations of the New York Mets. Once that money was gone, and plus all the debt that they had that followed with having to pay back the victims of that Ponzi scheme, I think they had to shell out somewhere in the vicinity of $16 to $25 million to pay back victims. That set them back. They had to take a $25 million loan from the league. They took a $40 million loan from Bank of America to pay for the day-to-day operations of the team. But my question is why did it take so long for the Wilpons to finally say, we can't do this anymore?
Maybe they were looking at the analytics. I told them to hold on. I don't know.
They can kiss my ass.
Guess what, though? You're undefeated in November. You got a lot cooking for you.
There's a lot of decisions to be made, because there's 3 positions that they really need to focus on at center field, catcher, and starting pitching. And, I like the fact that the Mets are interested in trading for Lindor, but that's just money that they really don't need to take on. But now with Cano being suspended for the year, maybe, that wouldn't be such a bad idea. But George Springer is a guy that I like to see in center field. But he's going to be 30 years old, or he is 30 years old. How long can he play in center field? You're going to have to eventually move him to a corner. Could be 2 years, could be 3 years, I don't know. Catcher, JT Realmuto. He's the big name on the market as far as catchers are concerned. He's not keen on playing in New York from what we hear. And I just, at 30 years old, I just don't think you give a 30-year-old a long-term contract.
Can't do it. There's just, I can't.
Not behind the plate.
Do it. They always do it, and I always say, you're playing out 3 years of the contract. Even with Garrett Cole, I know damn well that in the tail end of the contract, he's dead weight. I know that. I already know that. I'm okay with it. Give me something these 4 years here. That's really, and that's, if you're signing someone age 30 and you're paying him that money, it's never going to end well. Never. And it hasn't, and people continue to do it, and people will do it because they're willing to pay. They're willing to pay.
We'll see what happens. All right. New York Giants.
Let's get going.
Yeah, listen. So these Giants, our Giants, started 0-5 this year.
Yep.
They finally win a game against the Washington team, or whatever. I call them the Washington Redskins.
That was a fourth down.
Yeah.
Or no, it was a 2-point conversion at the end.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Right. So they beat Washington. They go to 1-5. Then they lose their next 2 to Philadelphia on Thursday night, and then Tampa Bay on Monday night.
Lost to Philly.
Two games they could have won.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones with the turnovers, the interceptions in the red zone, cost them the game. The drop by Evan Ingram cost them the game. Listen, they could have easily won those 2 games, and they could probably be at the head of the division right now. They sit at 3-7 right now after winning the last 2 games against the Washington team and then Philadelphia. Now, a lot of people are predicting that the Giants are probably going to win this division with possibly a 5-6 win season.
Unbelievable.
What are the chances of that?
Well, it's definitely possible, and it's because the Washington team, you had to beat them. We're winning division games. That's the silver lining here. Is we have 3 division wins. We're 3-2 in the division. So if there's any kind of,
but that's the thing, though. We've already played 5 divisional games. All we have left is 1 in a finale against Dallas.
And they don't have that's gonna. We don't know what happens with Dallas, by the way. We don't know what makeup that team is going to be. There's a lot of rumors. We'll get to that, I'm sure. The Giants. Here's the great thing about being a Giants fan right now is there's meaningful games right now. Now, we have been with Shermer. We've gone through Ben McAdoo. We've gone through Odell. We've gone through Eli.
Every time somebody mentions the name Ben McAdoo, I just start fucking laughing. I don't know why. The guy he's a freaking clown.
He is a clown.
I mean, the press conference with that suit, what the hell was he thinking?
Worst suit I've ever seen. It was 2003 NBA draft. That's what that suit was. It was the baggiest thing. I had clothes like that too. I can't even lie because I used to wear baggy jeans. But that was – I just can't hey, think about this. Why is it that New York – I mean, the Judge press conference was phenomenal, by the way. I was inspired. I was ready to run through a wall. But the Gates press conference and then Ben McAdoo with that suit, how the hell – dude, Kate Mara is an actress. You figure she would maybe run that down the email chain like, hey, Ben, why don't you get a tapered suit here? That was unbelievable. They go 11-5 that first season. We have a little bit of fool's gold. Then you have the famous going down to South Beach in the picture, and then everyone drops the ball, and then that's pretty much – that was the end of it right there. But Ben McAdoo, here's a story that I've heard. He wanted to draft Pat Mahomes. I don't know who they took. I don't know if it was Flower. It was somebody. It was not who they should have taken. But he wanted Mahomes. Didn't work out. We were talking about that years ago. But now the Giants have, again, a new coach. They're just when you're watching the team, I don't know if you feel the same way. The team plays hard. Defense plays hard. Special teams plays hard. They make mistakes. But they don't give up. And in the fourth quarter, even when they give up a lead, they still play to the end. So I like the mentality and the resiliency of this team. No Saquon Barkley. They could have mailed it in. They're 1-7. They play and they believe in each other. So is 3-7 a good record? Nope. If the rest of the division was great, we'd probably be harder on them. But this is the situation we're in. We got to appreciate it. Now there's a meaningful game. Now next week we got to bye, and you got a very tough schedule for the Eagles. They got the Browns. We'll go down who these teams are playing.
They're at Cleveland.
That's a tough game. Cleveland's got a very motivated, angry playing defense with Myles Garrett, probably defensive player of the year. You got a good defensive team, and they have some guys that can move the ball down the field. The Eagles right now are in trouble because
I'm sorry. I'm looking at the Eagles. They've got they're at Cleveland, at home against Seattle, at Green Bay, at home against the Saints, at the Cardinals,
in a row,
at Dallas, and then home against Washington to finish the season.
Who do the Eagles beat right now? Could they give the Browns a game? Maybe because they're the Browns and they tend to play to their competition. But are they going to score? I mean, because that running game for Cleveland.
See, the problem with the Eagles right now is you don't know what team is going to show up. Everybody talks about how this team is so talented that they should win the division. Everybody talks about how they're the most talented team in the division. I find that hard to believe when they're at 3-5-1 right now.
Yeah,
losing to the Giants, a game they probably shouldn't have lost. To be quite honest with you, I think the Giants should have won that first game.
They were down 11, 5 minutes left, did not execute. Giants should have had that one.
Yep, they should have. They just snapped an 8-game losing streak against the Eagles.
That's so good.
That's so pathetic, dude. Like, how the hell do you lose 8 games in a row to the Eagles? Like, what the hell's going on here?
What we've been through. Look at the last 5 years. Look at what we've been through. I mean,
who's the other team we have a long losing streak in the division? Dallas, I think it is. How many times has Dallas beaten us?
I think Eagles were worse, though. I know Eli, even toward the tail end, Eli had a couple good games against Dallas, but we've lost everybody. But this is a big win psychologically for the team. But the Eagles, there's something going on. They are they're down the wrong road. Carson Wentz makes bad decisions on third down. They have a really talented running back that they don't get the ball enough to. They really don't. They have a lot of injuries at wide receiver. They have an
Well, they're starting to get
aging,
healthy now.
but
I
they
mean,
are aging in a lot of different positions. They have
you're right.
older guys on defense and offense that have been there. They're starting to age. I think they're wearing and tearing, to be honest with you. Because the Giants, the big concern was we're never going to get pressure. The Giants are pressuring teams. I mean, they are getting after third down situations, passing. They're getting to the quarterback. Wentz was missing guys, and now the Philly problem is not just the teams they're playing; they have to play against their angry fan base. I mean, New York fans are tough, but Philly is a different animal. I mean, they will roast you. They will.
I'll give them wins in Dallas.
You're talking about Philly.
I'm talking about Philly. I'll give them the win at Dallas. I'll give them the
Okay.
win at home against Washington to finish the season. The Saints, I mean, they just lost Drew Brees. They're saying he's going to be out 2 weeks. I
They
think
did.
he's going to be out a lot longer than that. Who else here? They could possibly beat Cleveland. I'm not saying they will or they won't.
Possible.
Again, it depends on what Eagles team shows up. They can definitely win in Cleveland, but they're not going to beat Green Bay. Green Bay is going to light them up. Seattle, terrible defense, but they can score with anybody in the league.
They're not going to stop Russell Wilson. It's not going to happen.
We hope not. I hope
Yeah.
the Giants do, but I hope the Eagles don't.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
And
But
then the Cardinals. I mean, the Cardinals. Like, what's up with these guys?
yeah,
They finally put it together.
I don't know. Here's what I do know. They run a very similar offense that Seattle does. They have a quarterback that can make a lot of plays, but he also makes bad decisions. They turn it over a lot, but they also create turnovers. They're exciting and interesting team to watch. They're a tough team to bet on or bet against. So we don't really know. Arizona's a wild card team in many sense of the word, but here's the thing about the NFC West is those teams are battle tested. Like when they play each other and they have tough games, they translate that football to other teams. So that's why I think they're going to just kill the Eagles because they've played so many tougher games than they have. And that our division, plays against each other. It's just a different level of football. It's like the SEC against, the Big Ten or something. It's just a different animal right now. So the Eagles are going to have a hard time against non-division teams. I don't think that they're a lock to win in Washington. Remember this. Last second field goal, Washington lost to Detroit. That was a team that was physical, better than Washington. But Alex Smith, he doesn't turn the ball over that much. Now he's had a couple turnovers to start. But here's a guy that he can win football games in this league. You have a tremendous defensive line at Washington. And, they were supposed to, be a little more competitive, but I can see them beating Philly. I mean, if Philly and Washington is going to be close, and I think the Cowboys game, too, is going to be close. But the Cowboys just have a lot of their quarterback situation. They don't until they can find that, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. But the Giants, they have a chance. They definitely have it. They are trending in the right direction when the other teams are not. So the momentum is on our side right now.
I know you credit a lot of the success for the Giants in the last 5 weeks to Joe Judge. But how much credit are you going to give General Manager Dave Gettleman, though? Listen, I haven't had a lot of bad mouthing to do about Dave Gettleman because I've supported him through and through. I think some of the moves that he's made have been good. Some of them have, didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to happen. And I mean, not every signing you make is going to work out. But for the most part, he's had really good drafts. Okay, This is a defense that's much improved. He signed 3 key players in the offseason, and Bradbury, Martinez, and who the hell? I'm sorry?
Tyler Fackrell, too, at linebacker.
Kyler Fackrell. There was another guy.
Logan Ryan.
There you go.
Those are big. Those are big signs for now. But Logan Ryan,
huge.
Big veteran plays he's made this year.
Logan Ryan is key because of the fact that he's so he can play anywhere. You can play him at safety. You can play him at corner. You can play him in a slot.
He's a pro.
And the guy is very well spoken. Like I watch the post game shows just to listen to him talk because I don't know what it is about him. I love to listen to the guy. He's like
Yeah,
very knowledgeable about what he's talking about and
he's a coach.
what he's saying. I mean, it's incredible.
You're not going to get Logan Ryan is not going to break a game open, but he is not going to make bad technique and bad habits ruin a game for a defense. He's going to coach these guys up. The Darnay Holmes, he's had some big plays for us this year, a 4th-round pick. We loved him out of UCLA. How about, in the secondary, you got no-name guys like Yodem, and you got guys like Love that still come in. Judge seems to have maximized the talent of his players to the point where we let go of Marcus Golden, who was supposed to be, our premier pass rusher. He got traded.
They traded him to Arizona, right? It's funny. I was watching the Arizona game the other day, and believe it or not, I don't know how I don't know this, but I saw Marcus Golden in an Arizona Cardinals jersey, and I'm like, what the
was he looking up the Mets?
Am I watching like a throwback game or something? Because I had no idea he'd been traded.
You're watching the SNY 1 New York Mets 2005 David Wright. Loser. Meanwhile, we have breaking news. Golden's traded. You missed it. But you know what? Golden was supposed to be one of our best pass rushers coming to the season. I credit Joe Judge because he's putting – how about Leonard Williams? We thought we said that this Leonard Williams,
I was opposed to that deal. I was opposed to that trade.
So your original question was, how does this frame Gettleman's involvement? I don't know, because you Giant fans, they still don't like him because
they rip him on Twitter all the time. I'm like, what? Why?
When did he first come to the Giants? Was that 2017 or 16? When did he first come to?
It was 3 years ago. This is his 3rd year, I believe.
There's some draft picks that are playing. I think Joe Judge, being a special teams guy, has quickly identified where players are successful when they're not. I got to credit Jason Garrett too, because the offense, there was a week of games where we were watching the games. The Giants could not move the ball.
That was the first 3-4 weeks, and I tell you,
they couldn't even move the ball.
His play calling was awful.
But he credit for changing things up.
Listen, I understand that your running game sucks. That you didn't have a running game. That's mostly due to the fact that the offensive line was still, trying to build some team chemistry. But once they started to get better, obviously you started to see the offense open up a bit because now the offensive line has given Daniel Jones some more time to throw down the field. And you've noticed this the last couple of weeks. Daniel Jones is going deep. Like, when the hell do you ever see Daniel Jones go deep?
How about that? So that one drive, he throws one to the left to Shepard, then he throws one to Tate, and then his wife is happy. She's sweet right after. Thanks. First catch of the game. But you know what? Jones is trusting his one-on-one outside matchups. The one thing Lamar Jackson can't do is he can't throw outside the numbers very well. Jones can. And Jones, it's interesting because the Giants' offense is looking a lot like Baltimore at times, where the zone reads, you're looking at the spy, you're trying to go around the offensive line. Jones has had some big runs. He's a weapon. And I think once Jason Garrett and Joe Judge realized that we got a guy that can go 21 miles an hour, I don't care if he falls. That was impressive.
You just have me remembering that play, and I'm like, I'm in a bar watching this game. All right, and
where are you at?
At the Brazen Fox.
Oh, okay.
And I'm standing there watching this game, and Daniel Jones is running down the field, and he trips and falls. And I'm like, we had a shitload of Eagles. What was that against the Eagles?
That was the Eagles.
Yeah. There was a shitload of Eagles fans at the corner of the bar. And there was a group of Cowboy fans on the other side of the bar. And they're all fucking laughing their asses off, having a good laugh about Daniel Jones falling on his face, running downfield when he should have easily gotten a touchdown. That was embarrassing. And that's the last. And what it reminded me of is this more embarrassing than the butt tackle?
No chance.
No chance?
No chance.
Good. No, that's all that matters to me. That's all that
Daniel
matters.
Jones he took off for 80 yards. That was that was the fastest run in the league this year. That was unbelievable. Jones is a weapon with his legs. And I think once Jason Garrett said, you know what, I want Daniel Jones 10 rushes a game. If he can do 8 or 9 carries a game for 50, 60, 70 yards, the playbook opens up. And that's why you're seeing Jones be more comfortable, because he has time to throw, because the teams are honoring the run.
But that also opens up the possibility of an injury. I don't know if I want him running 10 times a game. Five times, six times.
Yeah, but if they want to win, Jones is not a guy that likes to. I mean, he's getting better at sliding, but I'll tell you one thing about Daniel Jones.
He'll take the hit.
He will take the fucking hit. He never. So that shows a lot. That's why I think these teammates really rally around him, because when the Giants need a first, like there's been times like 3rd and 14, 3rd and 11, Giants are down by a lot. Daniel Jones runs for a first down. He wants to win. He wants to win. And listen, I know we don't have Saquon right now, but imagine if you can have Jones as a threat to run with Saquon going on the backside. I think if Saquon can take advantage of these holes that Gallman's getting, I mean, this could be an explosive running attack. I mean, as explosive as a Seattle or any of these teams where the quarterback is involved. If the Giants right now, you guys, what I love about Judge, all these offensive linemen, Matt Pert. How about Shane Lemieux wearing number 66, which is awesome. That's the thing. I love that. He has to have known that Barrett Lemieux was 66.
Of course,
right?
he said it during draft night. He said that.
That's awesome. He's played every position. Everybody's getting better on offensive line. Thomas, he's not afraid to bench him, but there are times he made great plays. But he's allowing people to learn and really develop. I think the offensive line is starting to gel a little bit. Let's see how they do against like some big defenses.
After Zeitler went down, there were 3 rookies playing on that line.
You had Lemieux, Thomas, and Matt Pert.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Do you credit that to Gettleman? I mean, he drafted those guys.
Absolutely.
If the Giants make the playoffs this year, true or false, Gettleman stays.
He has to stay. He has to stay unless he wants to walk away and retire. And
7-9 wins this division outright. 6-10, I don't know. I don't know if Philly can figure it out. Who knows? But 7-9.
Let's look at the Giants' schedule here, because we didn't even go through the Giants' schedule here. Giants are they have the bye week this week. They're off.
Good. Do we get McKinney back?
Exactly. And off of their bye week, they're in Cincinnati. That's definitely a winnable game.
Interesting game. Winnable. They're at Cincy.
At Seattle. So 2 road games in a row coming off the bye.
Mm-hmm.
At home against the Cardinals. At home against Cleveland. Then they go to Baltimore. And then they play at home against Dallas.
Not easy.
I wouldn't say they go 6-0.
Oh no.
They don't go 6-0.
It's an easier schedule than the Eagles schedule. Sort of, maybe. The Cincinnati game is the one game, if we can come out of the bye week and win that game. It also depends on where these other teams finish out. You got to figure, there's no way Eagles, do you think you're going to beat the Browns next week?
I hope not. I don't think so. I think Cleveland's playing pretty good right now.
The Browns are the type of team that'll just suck one weekend and just totally blow it. The Browns have lost bad games. They got blown out like twice by the Ravens already. They'll beat bad teams, but they lose to good teams, and the Eagles might be bad enough to where they can beat them. But let me tell you something. The running attack of Cleveland with Chubb and Kareem Hunt, if they get coached well, they can get after Wentz, make him make mistakes. The Browns should win this game, but the Browns do Browns things. That really gets me worried. But if the Eagles lose this game to the Browns, the door is open. I mean, the Giants are going to be fired up against a Bengals team with a rookie quarterback, and they have a lot of issues too on that defense and on that offensive line. So Let's see how Joe Judge does after a bye week, because if we have Xavier McKinney back in the lineup, that can be an exciting addition too. Not sure how many snaps he will get or if he'll be back. But let's just play hypothetically. Let's just say the Giants do win that game. I mean,
against who?
Against Cincy.
They should.
You think so?
I don't have a doubt in my mind that they'll win that game.
I love the confidence. I'm kind of with you. I love the trajectory of this team right now. Then you go against let's just
Cincinnati just doesn't do enough defensively to win games.
They don't do enough.
They
lost Dunlap. They let go some guys. They're definitely shedding cap and they're looking for next year.
Right.
They're not in a win now mode. I think the Giants are playing playoff football right now. And they're under the radar. And it's as weird as it is being 3-7, the Giants are going to be playing games with this roster, whatever this roster is, they're playing playoff intensity level games. And I kind of like that more than other teams that are they're out of it already.
I don't think they go better than 3-3. That's the best I'll give them. I'll give them 3 wins out of those 6. So that puts them at 6 wins. That puts them at 6-10.
That's what I predicted early on Facebook. I put up
So wait, hold on a minute. So
all right.
If the Eagles, let's just hypothetically say they lose against Cleveland this week. Okay, they're 3-6-1. Then they lose against Seattle, lose against Green Bay. The Saints are going to be playing with a backup quarterback probably. I don't know. No, I think Drew Brees will probably be back by then. They'll probably lose that game. The only 2 games I see the Eagles definitely winning are at Dallas and at home against Washington. So that puts them at 5 wins.
5-10-1.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
this game next week is so big for us. We need Cleveland to win this game. I mean, this could be the season. This could be.
Yeah, but how bad would that be having a 6-10 team?
This is where we are.
Hold on. A 6-10 team winning the division and hosting a fucking playoff game. What is wrong with that picture?
The only thing I can think of is how about the Seattle Seahawks were 7-9, and they beat the New Orleans Saints, and that was the Beastquake Marshawn Lynch game, if you remember in recent history.
Yeah, but
they were 7-9.
Did they host that game?
They hosted the game at home, Seattle. So, but there were 2 teams at 7-9 though. I think they beat out another team in just a division record or something. But there were 2 7-9 teams, and the rest were bad. This year, if you get a 6-10 playoff team,
yeah. But what are the repercussions of finishing 6-10, winning the division? That hurts them in the draft standings.
Certainly does. But you know what though? The experience. This is invaluable for Daniel Jones. You're going to know
the experience of a lifetime.
You got to enjoy this. It does. I didn't listen. I'm in the NFC East. I'm not in the NFC West where that's a different league over there. You got the Rams. You can lose to anybody over there. I know that we suck this division, but this is all we have. Okay, this is all we have. We've been struggling every season. 1-6, 2-11, whatever it is, and we're just waiting for the draft. Now, I don't give a shit that we're 3-7. We are in this right now. We got to strap up and get ready to go.
The key to success is Daniel Jones. The offense starts with Daniel Jones. If Daniel Jones can stop turning the ball over like he did the last 2 games, there's a good chance they can win more than 3 games because their defense has been solid. I mean, after the first maybe 4 games of the season, 5 games of the season, this defense has really come on strong.
They create turnovers.
It's unbelievable. And we were talking about Leonard Williams before. He leads the team, I think, with 5 sacks. Is he leading the team with 5 sacks?
I think he's got there. And then you have other guys, too. Jabril Peppers.
He's been great.
He's been so good. I mean, Joe Judge has made – Jabril Peppers is one of the best safeties that I've seen play every time I've watched the Giants. Even he is making plays all over the field. He goes sideline to sideline, makes tackles. You can see the confidence in his play. I think of him and Xavier McKinney, that's going to be an exciting secondary with Bradbury. I mean, you just need to find a corner. Maybe the Giants get that in the draft. Maybe Holmes
Move
can.
Logan back to quarterback and have Xavier McKinney playing back there with Peppers.
But the Giants have a nice safety and secondary rotation. I still like Love and some of the other guys too that can fill in the nickels, because the Giants are going to be playing teams that throw the ball around a lot if they get that far. So they're getting the players that are thrown into the fire are getting experience, and that's something to be excited about. Judge has these guys playing. I mean, we're not used to this. We're not used to this.
I gotta agree with you. You mentioned Darnay Holmes earlier. He's been phenomenal. I'm very impressed with his play because I mean he plays like he's like a 5-year pro already. I've never seen that out of a rookie cornerback. I mean he's all over the field. Every time there's a tackle, he's somewhere in that vicinity. He's in the vicinity of that tackle.
And I like Fackrell and I like Martinez as well, being very steady. Making sure that there's something about this team, and I love Patrick Graham because he's made some really good adjustments to different teams. In-game adjustments. There was a lot left to be desired. I mean, the Giants couldn't figure it out, but they're doing something. They're getting the right people to cover the right players. They're blitzing at the right time. They're getting pushed. They're playing good, sound football.
Dude, and they've been playing a lot of zone. Have you noticed that? They play a lot of zone. They don't play a lot of man-on-man. They've been playing a lot of zone.
Depends on what kind of quarterback the other team is playing with. But I like the Giants' chances against a Joe Burrow. He's not running around. I worry about the Giants against Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray. The big play ability worries me a little bit.
Lamar Jackson. Let's not forget Lamar Jackson.
But dude, something's going on in Baltimore. I don't know if teams are starting to figure it out.
I'll tell you what's wrong in Baltimore. They're trying to make Lamar Jackson a quarterback, and he's not a quarterback.
Like a prototypical passer.
They don't want. Yeah, they want him to stay in the pocket and throw the ball. Don't run, because we've already seen what happens to quarterbacks that always run out of the pocket. We've seen it.
Yeah.
They tend to get hurt, and they get hurt bad.
But he has to learn how to come from behind. If you get a lead if the Giants, let's just say the Giants, they jump out to Daniel Jones rips one, the Giants have a 21-7 lead. They might Baltimore has a hard time coming back. So that Baltimore game on the Giants, anybody could say no chance, but there is a chance. If the Giants have a lead in that game like they did against the Eagles, as long as they, don't commit penalties and stay sound, I mean, Lamar Jackson's not going to orchestrate a Pat Mahomes-like drive. It's just not – he hasn't done that yet. I mean, even the playoff game last year, he ran for 140-something yards and 300 yards passing, but in between the 20s. But I'm telling you, when the field gets smaller, sometimes they have a hard time against a tough defense if you're ever falling behind. So that's the key against Baltimore, is to just get ahead. I mean, that's how you win that game. But, Seattle, you go into Seattle, that's if the Giants can pull off a couple of extra wins, I mean, Judge has to be coach of the year. If the Giants go 7-9, coach of the year. Has to be one of the coaches of the year with this team.
I agree with you 100%.
But, man, Eagles, Browns, what is it? What are we in, week 9? I don't even know what week are we in?
We are
10, 11.
Well, we're going into week 11 now.
Yeah. Week 11, Eagles, Browns. This is huge. Huge game for us because Washington, they're another team. They just have so many losses already in the division that Washington is a team with a defensive line. If they can get consistent quarterback play, they are going to win some games. Now, I don't think they're going to make a big enough run to catch, beat all these other teams, but they're a better football team. Dallas, who knows? If they can strike gold on one quarterback that can do anything, they got talent too. So right now, if you're a betting man right now, I can understand why people are saying Giants got a shot. They do have a shot. It's interesting.
I don't disagree with you. I think they have a shot, but I still think the Eagles are the more talented team, and I think the Eagles are going to come away with the division. And in a
Because
way,
they have
in a
that
way,
one, too.
I'm sorry.
That one tie is gonna
Yeah, I mean
be big.
that could be a tiebreaker. But the thing is my concern is not so much making the playoffs because at say 6-10, I don't want to make the playoffs at 6-10. I don't want to host a playoff game.
I disagree. I want to go all the way.
I
Put
don't
me
know,
on the
man.
bandwagon. I have been. The only season we've won a playoff game was like the 11 Super Bowl. I think. I mean, we don't do anything. It's just I'm excited. I don't care about 6-10, 7-9, 5-11. I'm excited about it. This has been a long year. Quarantine, COVID, got a lot going on. I need this, John. My friend, I need this to work out, and I'm gonna go. I'm gonna put my feelings in this basket right now.
I'm right there with you, but
I don't care. I want to. I'm gonna go Browns. That's what I'm saying. The Browns need to come through. Baker Mayfield needs to stop doing commercials, get this W, and then we're on our way. Then we're going to Cincy, and all bets are off.
his commercials are great, though.
Baker at home.
I love them.
Why isn't these athletes, they jump into these commercial deals? So don't you want to prove yourself? I know you want the money. If I was drafted first overall by Cleveland Browns, okay, and I'm a Heisman Oklahoma winner, wouldn't you want to say, you know what? Let me pump the brakes. Let me do okay the first. Now he did have a pretty decent rookie season, but I think you have to look at your play and then say, all right, maybe I'll do a commercial this year. Like, you got to earn it. Right.
He's the number one pick. He's doing Hulu commercials. He's doing State Farm commercials. He's doing every commercial you could possibly think of. Fuck it. Let him do what he wants.
I like Josh Allen.
Josh Allen, I tell you, when you look back at that draft, and I think we spoke about this the last time we were on together, and I asked you to rank the quarterbacks in that draft. Did you put Josh Allen number one?
I can't. You got to roll that tape.
I don't remember.
I don't want to lie on the air and I don't want to cancel this getting canceled. You lied. Fact check.
If you were to look at that draft right now,
that was the Darnold draft, right?
Yeah, Sam Darnold.
That
was Mayfield, Darnold, Allen, Rosen.
Rosen was.
Is he even in football anymore?
I don't know.
I don't think so. I think he's probably on somebody's practice squad or something.
I didn't really.
He got the short end of the stick. That kid. I feel bad for him. If Arizona, I really don't know what Arizona was thinking, because 1 year after drafting Rosen, and they moved up to get him, which is what pisses me off the most. Then they fire their coach. They bring in Kingsbury. What's his name?
Cliff Kingsbury.
Kingsbury.
Yeah.
He drafts Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
They trade Rosen to Miami. Miami don't want any part of him. I don't even know why they wasted a second-round pick on him.
Yeah.
And now they got Tagovailoa. Speaking of draft picks, the Jets are probably going to get the number one pick.
Oh, yeah.
Lawrence doesn't want to
get Lawrence.
They're not going to get him. Well, they can draft him if they want. He's just not going to play there.
Is he going to pull an Eli Manning?
Yeah. Easily. I mean, the Jets could cash in on some extra number one picks here.
He's going number one. The Jets have a lot.
Would Lawrence be stupid to sit out the season and play another year in college?
Yes.
How much fucking money would he lose doing that?
That's the thing. Do you want to play on the Jets? But you can't go back to college, tear an ACL. You can't do it.
Exactly.
Can't do it.
That's exactly my point. You go back and play another year, and God forbid you blow out your knee, your shoulder, your elbow, you name it. It could be anything.
You got to go to the draft. The Jets are taking him. Darnold, here's what I think about Darnold. Darnold might end up with the Steelers because Juju Smith-Schuster loves Darnold. They play together. They have Big Ben. And I think Darnold might be the backup for a year and kind of be in a winning culture, and then he might have his shot.
That's very
You know,
interesting. I didn't even think of that.
I think Darnold going to the Steelers makes a lot of sense, or to a team that needs a backup. A team like Chicago Bears could be a possibility as well. I don't think they're going to keep
Well,
Trubisky.
obviously they're not going to keep Trubisky or whatever his freaking name
Foles.
is. Yeah, Foles.
Yeah, Foles is.
Well, I think once they made that trade, obviously, what's his face is done.
Yeah.
Because they, at the end of the season, they were going to have a choice of whether to tender him a contract or not. And I don't think they're going to pick it up.
Trubisky is so athletic. He just needs a coordinator that can. He could be used as a weapon with his legs.
He needs a better system. He needs a better system. He's not in the right system.
He's not in the right system. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there, but let's see what happens with Jones. We don't know what the hell's going to happen with Jones. We're still 3-7. We're not doing nothing yet. But
all right, so if the Giants finish 6-10, don't make the playoffs, does Dave Gettleman get fired?
Oh, dude, that is a good question. Well, you started the season at what, 0-5?
Yep.
So if you finish a season at 6-10, what's that split?
That's 6-5. 6-5.
Yeah. I don't know. You kept Gettleman last year. Maybe they have a good relationship. It depends on how he gets along with Judge.
Well, maybe you don't look at the record. Forget the record. You look at the total development of this team.
What about the draft?
Even though they're sitting at 6-10, what kind of 6-10 team are they? Are they a team that's going to be 6-10 the year after, or are they going to be a team that's going to improve on 6-10? I think they're going to be a team to improve on that.
I think they would improve. I think that is if he can expand on that. I think you got to keep him. If the Giants go 6-10, if they don't make the playoffs, you can't hold don't make the playoffs on Gettleman, right? I mean, that's how many games are left on the field by careless plays and last second, kicks and whatever. If the Giants go 6-5 after going 0-5 or 1-5, I mean, how do you not consider that? I mean, also too, it's the offensive line. He has brandished his name in the NFL with offensive line, hog mollies. If Pert and Lemieux and Andrew Thomas, if the Giants are not, if Daniel Jones is seeing less pressure, if he's turning the ball over less, because that's his guy too. If Daniel Jones goes the rest of the season and throws, 10 touchdowns and 2 picks and runs for another 400 yards, gets him up near 1,000. I mean, that's how can you look at Dwayne Haskins? We all thought the Giants should have taken Haskins. Everyone was like, how do you take Daniel Jones at 6? What are you thinking? Look at Dwayne Haskins. He's done. He's terrible. So that also makes Gettleman look better.
But Haskins is
the quarterback. Gardner Minshew in that draft. He's not going to be a big time player. Jones is. You know what Jones did, and I got to give him credit. Jones did so bad to start that because he hasn't turned it over in 2 games, he's actually on the rise. You shouldn't turn it over at all, but it's not by design. But his ceiling and his expectation that he made for himself was so low. So anything that Daniel Jones does now is so big for his confidence. He's playing with house money. This is a second year. There was no expectation for the Giants to be good. New coach, the whole new staff. So there's a bit of that house money at the casino where it's you're already in, and let's just kind of see what happens. And I like a quarterback and a team with that. That's how the Giants were when they won the Super Bowl in 2007. Nothing to lose. I like that mentality as a team because Philly has a lot of pressure. They won 3 years ago. They got a quarterback they paid a lot of money to that's not doing well. They're aging. They have an angry fan base. Dallas has been angry. Their quarterback could be done. They didn't sign him. Fans are pissed at that. Washington, they don't have a team name. and the Skins are the Skins. Like the Washington's Washington until otherwise. So I like where the Giants are mentally in like their headspace right now about they can just go out and play. Gettleman's got to stay, right? I mean, doesn't he?
I think so. A lot of the fans think that Dave Gettleman should have probably drafted totally the opposite of what he did. Because if you remember, his first round pick was Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
Everybody thought
There's a lesson to be learned.
Everybody thought he should have started with the offensive line at that point, and then go quarterback, and then eventually get your running back. But instead, he got his running back, he got his quarterback, and then he went with his offensive line. Either way, it's starting to look good for him.
It's starting to.
And
on the flip side,
maybe the one pick that he probably regrets, if there is any, is the Saquon Barkley pick, because of what transpired this year.
The draft equity of the number 2 pick. It's a lesson to be learned. Here's what we've learned. Back when we were watching football many years ago, you had guys that were Emmitt Smith. You have these guys playing the NFL for 10 years, 11. That doesn't have these running backs have a very short lifespan. Okay. Le'Veon Bell. My friends and I were going at it about Le'Veon Bell to the Jets. I'm like, he is finished. I'm telling you right now. You think he's going to put up 1,200 yards and be an all-pro. Look at what happened. Look at the track record of these backs.
Jets fans were dreaming.
They were dreaming, but the draft equity of a running back, you can't use the number 2 pick because what you're getting with a running back is a Lamborghini. The problem with the Lamborghini is you're supposed to put it in the driveway and put it in your garage, wait for the weather to be nice to drive. And then you have the Lamborghini for the rest of your life, but it's in good condition. The problem is that when you get the Lamborghini, you drive it in rain, the snow, you put it in the FedEx parking lot, you're picking people up, you're picking up the kids. You can't do all that with a Lamborghini. You need something that's like a Ford Bronco. You need a pickup truck. You need a sturdier machine to last you 10 years. And that's the draft equity in the top 5. So if Gettleman can get out of that route. Now, that's what we've learned is that look at Saquon. Hall of Fame starts his career, right? But you make one bad turn, and now that draft equity is not going to be lasting long. Like, look at Vic. I mean, look at all these guys. I mean, even Odell as a first-round pick. He's starting to get banged up. But the running backs specifically, I love what the Kansas City Chiefs did this year. They let go all their guys. They bring in a rookie. And he's going to dominate for 3-4 years. You cut him, and you bring in another rookie. And it's messed up to say that. But the Giants, do you think – I mean, let me ask you this. Do you think the Giants long-term are going to sign Saquon? Because I think he's got 1 year left.
I don't see that.
This is year 3. That's a wash.
I don't see that. I just don't see it.
$19 million? He's got to prove himself next year.
But he's not worth that $19 million. He hasn't played a full season in the 2-3 years that he's been around.
As talented and as dynamic, game-breaking, that's the lesson that I think Gettleman learned the hard way. But if the Giants can finish out the season competitive on the right direction, he's going to stay. And I think Gettleman learned. Look, he made a mistake. Saquon, great kid. Strong, does everything, franchise player. But I think there's lessons to be learned by everybody that when you have that draft equity, you cannot take a position as vulnerable as running back. Because look at Gallman and Freeman and whoever. I mean, like Wayne Gallman is getting the job done in this offense.
Alfred Morris.
Where
did he come from?
I mean, he had a monster year when he first came in with Washington with Robert Griffin.
Right.
Kind of got bounced around, but with a good offensive line and holes and a running quarterback, even journeyman guys can fill the void. So you don't need to spend $16 million on a running back or draft number 2 as a running back.
That's exactly my point.
It's just a lesson that was learned the hard. That's how I look at it. It's a lesson learned the hard way. You got to make the most of it. Barkley can still be a home run hitter. He can make the offense more explosive. I love Saquon as a catching passes out of the backfield. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does when he gets back. and then he has a year to prove himself. And if he lights it up in year 4, do the Giants give him the 5th year? I mean, he's either tagged. They're either going to tag the guy, or he's going to be on his way. I mean, it's
If the Giants want to control the situation, they tag him. They can tag him for what, 2 years in a row, or
I
is it just
think
one? I think it's
I
2
think it's
years.
one at a time. He's in year 3 now. That's a wash. I think his rookie contract's 4 years. I
Yeah,
think they have
it was a
player option.
4-year deal. Yeah,
4-year deal. So, I mean, did the Giants trade Saquon Barkley at the draft?
it's always a possibility. I
But he
mean,
hasn't had.
everybody's looking for a running back, but is the team trading for him going to want to spend that kind of money?
But
Because they're
here's
going to
the
have to
thing.
lock him up.
Well, not necessarily, because he has 1 year left on his rookie deal. So one can argue there could be a team out there, maybe Seattle, maybe a team like maybe Pittsburgh, maybe a team.
Baltimore.
They have J.K. Dobbins. I like him, but there's a lot of teams that Miami. There's teams out there that could be on the cusp that would trade, because the one look at. I mean, if you can get Saquon for a year to help your playoff chances and to be a dynamic part of your offense, and then he balls out and then he goes somewhere else for a lot of money, do the Giants move him at the draft? That's another scenario. Now, it's hard coming off an injury, not showing any tape, what he's going to be like, but there will be teams interested.
It's definitely going to be something that the Giants will consider. That's for sure.
Have to
I mean,
consider. How can you not? You have to
you have to,
consider,
yeah, absolutely. I agree with you,
because
100%. They have to consider moving him because at this point he's been
you can
injured
draft
every
a running
year.
back in the 3rd round. You can draft the guy 2nd round, and he could plug right in.
Listen, we fell in love with the fact that he was the best running back in the draft, and the thought of getting him at number 2. I mean, listen, did we object to get him and taking Saquon Barkley at number
Jack.
2? No, we didn't. I didn't. I was ecstatic
I
when
was
Gettleman.
ecstatic too. I love Saquon.
I love the fact that he drafted him, but now when you really look at the big picture and you look long term, you're like, you know what? Maybe he did make a mistake, and you really have to consider. I mean,
I don't hold Gettleman like feet to the fire. You messed up bad because you took Saquon Barkley. I can't do that. I can't do that. Now, you could do that to other signings he's done. But how about Leonard Williams? We ripped him apart for Leonard Williams, but now the guy's playing. So maybe, just maybe, it was the coaches all along that were doing a terrible job developing these players. What we now need to see, it's going to come down, like you said before. It's got to come down to Daniel Jones. Is it going to be the Daniel Jones that fumbles twice a game and throws 2 picks and we lose to Cincy, and then it's the questions come again? If the Giants finish like 4, the Giants tank the rest of the year and don't do good, Gettleman's gone. But I don't know. I think the Giants have found enough with Daniel Jones running the football that their offense is not going to make as many mistakes, because they stay with the run all game long. They don't abandon the run like they did in the first few weeks when Freeman got caught up the middle. It was like, all right, it's over. Where's Ingram? But it's now, when you incorporate the run all game long, the defense is fresher because they're on the field less and they're getting ready to go and get after the passer. You're taking off the clock so the other team can't. So there's a lot of benefit and value to what Jones is doing right now. They have to stick to that game plan. And I know you don't want us to hear it, but you got to run Jones, 5 to 10 times, maybe more, without Saquon to have a chance to win it. And don't. This is not the Giants cannot be in the mentality right now of let's just see and then next year. You're going for it now. You're not going to trade for anybody at the deadline, but your mentality is winning this division right now. That's how you got to look at it.
I don't disagree with you. I mean, the way things are looking right now, and when looking at the schedule and looking what Philadelphia's got to go through till the end of the season, I think the Giants do have a pretty good chance. Would I want them to make the playoffs at 6-10? Would I mind them making the playoffs at 7-9? It's better than 6-10. Listen. I would definitely love to see them make the playoffs. I just wish it wouldn't be at 6-10. But again, like you said, I agree with you. If they make it in, it's because they put it all together. They might not have had it
Yeah.
together in the first 5 games of the season, but since they've done very well. Daniel Jones is protecting the ball a lot better. The defense is getting, the offense is to get off the field on more 3-and-outs. They're doing better on third down efficiency, which was a huge problem in the first 4 weeks. I mean, defense couldn't get off the freaking field
That was a
at
problem.
all on third down. They were just giving up yards on third down on religiously. It's just like it was nonstop. They just could not stop the offenses from getting a first down, and that's improved.
The Giants have been in a lot of these games, even against the losses. There has to be one game, right? So if we're going to go 6-10, well, I guess that means the Giants beat the Cowboys. If you can, that could be a big one. You would think they maybe beat Cincinnati. Where's the other game that you think that they could win?
Well, in the remaining schedule, you mean?
Let's look at the schedule. Let's see what games the Giants can realistically.
At Cincinnati, at Seattle, home against the Cardinals and the Browns, at Baltimore, and at home against Dallas.
Why do I
Cincinnati, Cleveland, and Dallas, I think, are the 3 games I give them.
Cleveland scares me with how they viciously run the football, but we've been pretty good against the run. I like our defense taking advantage of errant throws. Baker's not like a speed demon. I worry about the Cardinals and I worry about the Seahawks a lot. But the Giants play like they're not going to be intimidated. And let me tell you, the Seattle defense is not great. They're not the Legion of Boom from years past. This is a weaker.
They're awful. They're ranked, I think, 32nd in the league right now.
But let me tell you something too. The Cardinals, these West Coast teams do not travel well to the East Coast and play football games. They have struggled bad. I mean, you saw the New England game with. I mean, they beat. No, that was not the right game. There was a game I think where the Cardinals lost or Seattle lost recently. They had to come all the way over. It was the Bills. They got whooped.
Yeah, that was Seattle at Buffalo.
Yeah, they got whooped. So those teams have to lose games at some point too. I don't know if the Giants, if there was a team that they could beat, is maybe the Cardinals. And the reason for the Cardinals is because the Cardinals are very streaky. They can go quarters without scoring a point, and then they'll put up like 25. But if they can be creative in spying on Kyler Murray, I like the Giants being able to move the ball against their front seven. It's all going to depend on Jones winning the turnover battle every game, because there is some games to be had there other than the ones we're talking about, if Jones cannot fumble the football, because I think our defense is better than we even think it is now. I think our defense is just getting better and better. Well coached.
Give it a lot of that credit to Martinez. I mean, the dude's he's a tackling machine. I mean, we all said it when the Giants signed him. Well, a lot of people were like, well, why would they sign him? He's don't we know something that what do we know that Green Bay don't know?
Yeah.
Everybody thought he was done, and he's coming over here and he's leading the team in tackles.
Judge sees something on film about players that a lot of people aren't seeing. You saw that with the Holmes draft pick, a guy that's 5'10", overlooked by many people. And he said this kid's gonna play and he's gonna do things. So I like Judge's influence on the first draft, and I do like the way that people are being put in position, especially Jabril Peppers. This guy wasn't. I was excited when we got Jabril Peppers from the Odell trade, but he hasn't really materialized. But he is absolutely. He's one of our best defensive players this year. He's all over the field. I mean, he's all over the field, and I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a little bit of offensive action too. I'll tell you right now, if we need a spark, that he could be taking a pitch, or he can do that stuff too. So turns punts or kicks. You're getting a lot out of him. So I don't know. It's just a good time right now to be a Giants fan. Gotta cherish this moment. You got a bye week. Is McKinney coming back?
I'm not sure. I didn't look it up, but I'm assuming he's going to be back. He should be.
Alabama
Hopefully,
Saban
hopefully he
guy
is.
gonna play with confidence.
Listen,
That's another
it's
fresh body in there. It can't hurt.
it's all up to Daniel Jones. If he protects the ball and gets the ball, and listen, Jason Garrett has done, like I said before, he's done a pretty good job of play calling lately.
Mm-hmm.
I think Daniel Jones is getting a lot more time to process what's downfield. He's going through his options, and he's finding the open receivers.
He's made some great throws this year, but he's also, as long as he could, you got to just not fumble or
Listen, the
fall.
the interceptions that he gave up the last couple of weeks, especially before the last two games, they were boneheaded interceptions. Like, take the fucking
Terrible.
sack, take the sack. Don't just throw the ball down the field. And he did it twice, and it cost him the games. It cost him games.
Hmm.
And late in the game, in the red zone, you can't do that. Just take the sack, and that's what he
You
did.
know
And
what's
in
interesting?
the last 2 weeks, that's what he's done.
Interesting stat too. Giants were dead last in red zone efficiency. I think they're 9 of their last 10 or 8 of their last 9. Something. So the mixing in of Daniel Jones being used as a feature runner is it changes the whole dynamic of the offense, and you could tell how it affects everybody else because you're not getting 3 and outs anymore. You're staying on the field, and that is huge. That's going to be big when we play against Seattle. If we can run the ball and just chew up clock against Seattle, that's a good proposition. At home, cold weather, it's all you can hope for, right? So just watch those damn
We're
turnovers.
actually playing in Seattle
Fuck them.
because back to back road games in Cincinnati, and Seattle to start after the bye week. But those are going to be big games on the road.
There's
I
no
mean,
fans there. No fans.
yeah, I know exactly. So the 12th man is not going to be anywhere near unless they're allowing fans in Seattle again. I doubt it.
No chance. They can't do anything in Washington
They
State.
can't do shit anywhere on the West Coast.
Oh my God. Yeah. I'm going to Georgia. I'm getting the hell out of here.
Are you?
Thanksgiving. I'm getting the hell out. Gonna see my parents. Gonna just be a total bum slob. Might do some work, might not. Who knows? But getting out.
That's it. Enjoy
Gotta
your
get out.
time over there because who knows how long we're going to be locked down for the next couple of
I'm just
months.
hoping we still got a season. I don't want any of that to be canceled. Could do a show next week from Georgia. If I can get my laptop fired up, we'll do it.
Let me know.
We'll preview the Thanksgiving games a little bit. We'll see who do you got? Do you know who's playing Thanksgiving?
Well, Dallas is playing and Detroit is
Detroit,
playing. I
yeah.
don't know who. I don't know.
But they've added a third game, which I do like.
Well, they always had a third game now.
Well, not when we were growing up, it was only 2 games. Now they got one on NFL Network, I believe.
Yeah,
Or the night game.
That's the night game. Wait, what the hell? Oh, so it's Houston in Detroit, first game of the day.
Mm.
Oh, you got the Washington team against Dallas, and you got the Ravens against the Steelers.
Ravens Steelers.
That's the Thanksgiving night game.
Steelers are gonna beat them up. They beat them good last time. I think the Steelers are gonna just beat them. Lamar Jackson cannot. I think Big Ben. They have the Steelers are just great. But I still think the Chiefs are the team to beat in the AFC. I really do. But the Steelers got something on them. They got young, talented, dynamic defense. They have a great offensive line still. Their quarterback is healthy, and they got some young players making plays on the outside.
You think the
So
Steelers go undefeated?
no, they got to lose a game. I I don't think I don't even want to go undefeated. Why even go undefeated? You need to lose, get it out of your system. I think they lose one of the games. You know why? Maybe the last game of the season they're resting guys. They're not gonna. I don't think they can go 16-0.
You don't think that week 17 going into Cleveland, if they're 15-0, they don't want to go 16-0? You think they'll rest their guys? I think they want to go 16-0, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Let's look at the rest of their schedule. They're at the Jaguars, and then the Ravens on Thanksgiving Day at home.
Mm-hmm.
Then they have Washington, at Buffalo, at Cincinnati, home against the Colts, and then at the Browns to finish off the season.
The Colts are going to be tough, and I think
The Bills?
the Bills will be tough too. Those are tough games too, but they could. It's just so rare. It's just so hard to go 16-0.
Yeah, no doubt. I don't disagree with you. But right now, the way things are going for them, I mean, I could see them going 16-0.
It's not a fluke 10-0. I mean, they're beating good teams, and they're.
I don't think they're that dominant that they can go 16-0. But I've seen teams do much better than they have at this point.
They're hot right now, and they got it working, but.
So the Giants make the playoffs?
Ooh. Dude,
let's make the prediction right now. Come on, let's just make the prediction now.
Giants make the playoffs.
Giants make the playoffs. What's their record? 6-10 or 7-9? Damn. If I want the Giants to make the playoffs, I want them at least at 7-9, not 6-10.
So do I. I want them at 7-9. It looks better. 6-10 is just terrible. I don't know.
6-10, hosting a playoff game just to lose, and then drop you back in the draft order.
I can tell you this. Ask me after the Eagles-Browns game.
All right, fair enough.
So after this weekend, I will know, because if the Browns just put the brakes on the Eagles, and the Eagles, we're going to be fired up to go to Cincy.
They'll be 3-6-1 going into the week when we go into Cincinnati.
Other than the Eagles against the Browns, the Eagles cannot beat those other teams. No chance. So after the Eagles-Browns this week, we will know, I think, a path to victory. A lot of that going around. But we will have a certain path to get there. Because the Eagles are there after Cleveland. I mean, they have a very, very grueling schedule. They might win one of those games by a fluke. I don't know. The Jalen Hurts experiment has been not good. That was.
I don't get me started. Don't get me started, because we talked about this right after the draft, and we spoke about that pick. It was the wrong pick. They shouldn't have taken him where they took him. They could have taken him way, way down the road in the draft.
They took Jalen Reagor in the first round too. He was a nice player.
Yeah, and that's not the guy they were looking at. They were looking at Jefferson in the first round, and they ended up taking Reagor.
Yeah. That's a whole nother ball game. But I'm telling you right now, this is the biggest game of the Giants season. It's the Philly and the Browns, because Browns pull this out. Browns could win this game easily. The Giants have a clear victory. They just got to win. They could win at Cincy. And there might be another 2 games that they can have. And that might be good enough. It might be. And Dallas and Washington play each other. One of those teams got to win. I mean, everybody technically is still in it. You hate to say it. But the Giants, you can say one thing about the Giants is that I think they have the best overall defense. I think the best front four is probably the Washington. But the Giants overall, as a defense, are playing the best football right now. They have the momentum. So if you believe in momentum and you believe in all that, Giants have a shot. And that's why it's so interesting. That's why this season is so compelling, because you're 1-7. You're thinking about firing everybody, and this is just another disaster. You're right back in it now. we'll see what happens.
We will. This has been fun.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure to hop on here and chop it up with you.
Definitely let me know if you want to get on when you go down to see your parents down in Georgia.
Yeah, I think we might have some time on Wednesday. We'll go over some of the Thanksgiving games. Maybe the Mets sign somebody. Who knows? We'll touch on Rangers.
That market for baseball is going to be a bit slow. I don't think anything's going to start happening until at least December, January. I don't see anything happening right now because there's just way too much uncertainty right now.
Yeah.
The whole DH rule is being hung up over executives. I mean, people want to sign players, and say for instance, a National League executive or GM wants to sign, say for example, a Marcell Ozuna. The guy can't field for shit anymore, but he's a hell of a bat. He's a hell of a right-handed bat. And a National League team wants to sign this guy to be a DH, and they're going to have to hold off on it because Major League Baseball still hasn't let anybody know if the DH, the universal DH, is going to be around for 2021. I know it's definitely something they're going to be discussing at the CBA when they, negotiate a new contract. But that's stupid. I mean, like, why can't Major League Baseball just make an announcement, say yes or no, we're not going to have universal DH? So then teams can start moving to sign some players, especially for that particular position. Because teams definitely don't want to lose out on a bat like an Ozuna and allow him to sign with an American League team because, what's the sense of the Mets signing him?
Yeah.
What use is he to them if he can't play the field? But there's so many things that are going. I still don't think anything's going to happen at least until December, January.
Yeah, and then we got hockey coming up. Probably January 1st. There should be some movement there. Rangers with
a lot of talk, a lot of
Fost, and they got a lot of things that they brought in Jet Johnson. So, we'll touch on a little Rangers, but we'll talk about Thanksgiving, and we'll hopefully have good news about the Browns and the Eagles for everybody, and take it 1 week at a time. So it was good chopping it up with you.
All right, Jamie. Thanks for being on with me. I appreciate it. Until the next time, let's go Giants. Peace out.
All right, sign off.
Yep. Later.